Hello again, Mr. Quap. It is about time I do a deep dive into the Paragon boards for all classes. This is the video for the Sorcerer Paragon boards deep dive, and I'll be looking into the starting Paragon board, then the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 additional different types of Paragon boards you can use in your build, which are the Searing Heat, Frigid Fate, Static Search, Elemental Summoner, Burning Instinct, Icefall, Ceaseless Conduit, and Enchantment Master. So I hope you enjoy this. I hope it's very informative and useful information to you. I will be making one for each class, one such video. So hopefully that might help you figure out whether the Paragon trees offered by a certain class are to your liking, or whether you might want to roll a different class instead of that one. So buckle up and let's go. Most befitting would be obviously to start with the starting Paragon board. First of all, I need to mention that each Paragon board will have 4 gates, except the starting. So on the gates, you have to spend a point for that gate, and the gate will always give you strength, int, willpower, and dex plus 5. Where the starting Paragon has this starting point here, and you have to reach this one to be able to connect to a different board. Now let's go through the yellow and blue ones. By the way, another thing I need to mention now is every Paragon board has a glyph socket. So you can get up to 9 different glyphs if you get every single Paragon board. Obviously, you don't need to put all points into the same Paragon board. But getting all 9 glyphs would rob you of some useful blue nodes and yellow nodes. So most likely you would have to sacrifice 3 or 4 glyphs if you want to get the most out of a build. Unless you have some extremely good glyphs that are worth sacrificing several tiles. Keep in mind the starting board does not have a legendary, while each other 8 do have a legendary node to work towards. And it takes between 15 and 20 something investment points to reach the legendary. Now that we've gotten this stuff out of the way, let's go through all of those. First, Erudite gives you resistance to all elements and intelligence. And if you have enough willpower, gives you more resistance to all elements. To help with that, there's 2 willpower nodes nearby in blue and 3 blue resistance to all elements nodes. Here we have elemental balance, which gives you non-physical damage additive percent and intelligence additive. And if you have enough dex, more of that non-physical additive damage. And to help with that, 2 dex blue nodes and then more non-physical additive in blue. Now here we have resilience, resistance to all elements, then maximum life. Both of those are percent bonuses. And then if you have enough strength and dex, you get resistance to all elements. If you have the same amount of dex, even more resistance to all elements. And if you have a little bit less strength, which is the amount of dex required for the other 2, you get resistance to all elements. Now, what you get here is maximum life twice and resistance to all elements twice. And it is strange here that normally a Quester would have yellow and 5 blue. This one is yellow and 4 blue. So it's as if something is missing here or somewhere. And the same goes for that one, but it's starting board, so I guess the starting board is like that. Those starting little Questers. Now, here we have Elementalist. Very befitting. Gives you non-physical damage, additive percent, then maximum life, and then it gives you more non-physical damage additive if you have enough intelligence. Then 2 types of that non-physical damage increase, additive in blue and then maximum life in blue. And then you get to the next node. Now, what we have is the Searing Heat legendary tile. in this Searing Heat node. Casting Fireball or Meteor increases the critical strike chance of further casts of that skill. So if you have that in Inferno ultimate that lets you cast without mana cost for X seconds, this would be an amazing synergy, especially if you play with Meteor the way I did, but with Fireball it's still good. So the critical strike chance of further cast of that skills is increased by X% additive for 5 seconds up to X% additive. Additional stacks do not refresh this timer. Very, very fun board. Now what we have here is Ashes, Fire Resistance to you, and Intelligence. Then if you have enough dex, more fire resistance. And to help with the dex, they've provided two +7 dex nodes. Then you have fire resistance 1, 2, 3 times nearby as blue. There is the glyph as is to be expected. Then flame touched, flat fire damage, flat additive fire damage. Then intelligence 15. And then if you have enough firepower, more of the same amount flat fire damage. Then flat fire damage once, twice, 3 times in blue. And then enough willpower to help with the requirement of flame touched. Next, combustion gives you fire damage flat. Then critical strike damage flat. Additive both of them. And then if you have enough intelligence and dex, you get more fire damage flat. Then 3 times more fire damage flat. And nearby in blue, and critical strike damage 2 times nearby in blue. Moving on, we have Keeper of Flames. Damage reduction from burning enemies. It doesn't specify that they need to be burning from you. So good in a team if someone else can cause the burning as well. Now, fire resistance for you, and then intelligence and willpower are required to get more damage reduction from burning enemies. Now nearby you have 2 times fire resistance in blue and 3 times damage reduction from burning enemies in blue. Next we have something called Recuperate, which gives you potion healing bonus and healing over time. And if you have enough willpower, more potion healing bonus. If you have the same amount of strength, more potion healing bonuses. And again, the same amount of required intelligence for even more potion healing bonus. Now, potion healing bonus 3 times in blue and healing over time 2 times in blue near that node. Here we have Pyromancy, flat additive fire damage. Percent additive fire damage over time. And if you have enough intelligence, more of the same amount flat fire damage. 3 times flat fire damage in blue nearby, 2 times percent fire, additive percent fire damage over time in blue nearby. Now from the hot and warm, we're moving to the chilling icy board. Frigid Fate. Dealing cold damage to vulnerable enemies increases your lucky hit chance by X% additive for 5 seconds. Up to X% additive. Now, what we have here is restorative, potion healing bonus, and maximum life. And if you have enough willpower, more potion healing bonus. If you have enough intelligence, more potion healing bonus. Then nearby, 2 blue maximum life of the same type, just blue. And then more potion healing bonus 3 times in blue nearby. Over there we have advantage, which gives you cold resistance, and it gives you lucky hit chance and bonus cold resistance if you meet an intelligence requirement. Then 3 blue cold resistance bonuses nearby and 2 blue lucky hit chance bonuses. Over there we have chilling, which cold resistance and intelligence, and if you meet a certain dex requirement, more cold resistance. then 3 times more cold resistance and 2 times blue +7 dex nearby to help with that requirement. Over there we have weakness, which is additive % vulnerable damage and 10 intelligence. Then if you have enough willpower, more of that same amount of additive vulnerable % damage. Then 3 times blue vulnerable damage additive %, and then 2 times willpower to help with requirements nearby +7. Over here we have oppressive, which is vulnerable damage and damage reduction from vulnerable enemies. And then if you have enough dex, more vulnerable damage. And then you have vulnerable damage once, vulnerable damage twice, vulnerable damage 3 times additive in blue, and 2 times damage reduction from vulnerable enemies blue. Now what is left is guarded, which gives you cold resistance %. And then if you have enough dex, damage reduction from vulnerable enemies. Then nearby 2 times extra cold resistance and 3 times blue extra damage reduction from vulnerable enemies, and as every node a glyph socket. Now it's getting electrified nearby, and we have static search. In the static search Paragon board, the static search legendary node gives you stunning close enemies, restores X amount of mana. Very interesting way of modifying oneself, one's build. Again, the glyph socket is expected, and here we have lightning resilience, which is lightning resistance in max life, and then if you have enough willpower, more lightning resistance. If you have enough intelligence, more lightning resistance, then 3 times more lightning resistance in blue, and 2 times more maximum life in blue nearby. Over there we have overwhelming, which is damage plus %, so additive % damage to stun stunned enemies, and then plus additive % damage to elites. And if you meet enough intelligence and dex requirement, more damage to stunned enemies. You have damage to elites twice in blue, the same amount in both, additive %, and then additive % damage to stunned enemies blue 3 times nearby. Over there we have incapacitate. Damage to stunned enemies additive and intelligence 15. Then if you meet enough dex, damage to stunned enemies additive %. Then 3 times blue damage to stunned enemies. And then 2 times +7 dex in blue nearby. Moving on, we have electro, which gives you lightning resistance and intelligence. And then if you have enough willpower, more lightning resistance. There's 3 lightning resistance blue nodes nearby and 2 willpower to help with the requirement of electro. Over there we have restorative, potion healing bonus and maximum life. And then if you have enough willpower, more potion healing bonus, and if you have enough intelligence, more potion healing bonus. Then there's 2 times maximum life in blue and 3 times potion healing bonus in blue nearby. And finally we have paralyzing. Paralyzing gives you damage to stunned enemies additive % and additive FWAT maximum physical. Which I'm not sure if it's physical damage reduction, physical damage. What would that maximum physical be? Because it shouldn't be damage. So most likely either some sort of damage reduction or something else. We'll see what that is eventually. Now, if you have enough intelligence, more damage to stunned enemies, and there's more of that maximum physical twice, what, and then 3 times in blue more of that % additive damage to stunned enemies. Next up we have Elemental Summoner. Very interesting conjuration related note. Your conjuration skills have a X% reduced cooldown or mana cost per conjuration skill you have equipped. What we have here is erudite, which is resistance to all elements and intelligence. Then if you have enough willpower, more resistance to all elements, 2 willpower nodes plus 7 nearby to help with that, and 3 times more blue resistance to all elements. Over there we have Conjurer, which conjuration skill damage, additive percent, and 15 intelligence. Then you have another bonus. If you meet a certain dex requirement, you get another bonus to conjuration skill damage, the same amount, additive percent. There's 2 dex nodes plus 7 to help nearby in blue, and 3 blue conjuration skill damage, additive percent nearby. Over there on this side we have reservoir, which is maximum physical and then maximum life. The maximum physical is flat, the maximum life is percent. And again, not sure exactly what the maximum physical is. Would it be armor or would it be null-elemental resistance or whatever, damage reduction, or is it physical damage? It is strange because, first of all, the icon, whenever there's a maximum physical, has all 3 elements. So it's interesting. Maybe it's supposed to say maximum elemental damage. In any case, it's very strange how it has the fire, ice, and lightning icons on it every time I see it. And then if you meet enough willpower, you get more maximum physical. There's 3 times more maximum physical in blue and 2 times maximum life in blue nearby. Over there we have Keeper of Elements. Non-physical damage, additive percent, and percent resistance to all elements. And then non-physical damage, more additive percent if you meet an intelligence requirement. Then over here, resistance to all elements 1-2 times blue, and then non-physical and damage additive percent 3 times in blue nearby. Over there we have Fleeting, which gives you crowd control duration reduction and then damage taken over time reduction. If you have enough willpower and dex, more crowd control damage reduction. If you have enough strength, more crowd control damage reduction. And if you have the same amount of dex as the other bonus at the top, more crowd control damage reduction. Then 3 times in blue crowd control damage reduction and 2 times in blue damage over time reduction nearby. And over here we have Speedcaster. Sounds fun, I know. This gives you added, added percent attack speed and added percent conjuration skill damage. And then if you have enough dex, more added attack speed. And if you have even more dex, even more attack speed. Then you have 3 times added percent attack speed in blue and 2 times added percent conjuration skill damage in blue. Burning Instinct Paragon board. As the name suggests, it's all about burning. So your burning damage is increased by X% of your critical strike damage. Further increased by X% for every 20 intelligence you have. And it also will show you what your current bonus is. So you know, so you don't have to guess how much is it currently giving me. Then nearby you have Keeper of Flames. Damage reduction from burning enemies, as well as fire resistance. Then, if you meet enough intelligence and willpower, you get damage reduction from burning enemies, the same one as above. Now, there's 3 damage to burning enemy, damage reduction from burning enemies, blue nearby, and 2 times fire resistance nearby. Over here we have Safeguard. Damage reduction from elite and armor. And then if you have enough willpower, and then more damage reduction from elite. If you have enough intelligence, more damage reduction from elite. If you have enough dex, more damage reduction from elite. And if you have enough strength, again more damage reduction from elite enemies. And here's something that that the game told me in a loading screen, that bosses count as elites. Obviously, elites don't count as bosses, but bosses do count as elites. They are into the elites modifier tag. Now here we have damage reduction from elites 3 times in blue, and here we have armor 2 times in blue. What we have here is kindling. Damage to burning enemies, what? Actually, percent additive, and then percent additive damage to elites. And if you have enough willpower, the same amount of damage to burning enemies, percent additive. Then 3 more times percent additive damage reduction. The damage to burning enemies, not damage reduction, damage to burning enemies in blue. And then we have damage to elites, percent additive twice in blue nearby. Over here we have color. Execute a rare major, which again should be chance to execute enemies. If I'm guessing correctly, chance to execute enemies if they're under 10%. When hitting an enemy that's under 10% to instantly kill. That's my guess. And then you have attack speed. The Necro had the same one, the same cover. And then if you meet enough strength and dex, more execute. And again, the same execute more if you have enough int and dex, and if you have enough strength, even more execute, and if you have enough willpower, even more execute, and if you have enough willpower and intelligence, which is more willpower than the previous, even more execute. There's 3 execute blue nodes nearby, so increase the chance to execute, and then there's 2 times attack speed nearby. What we do have here is called cinders, which is damage to burning enemies and intelligence. And if you have enough willpower, more damage to burning enemies, the same amount additive percent. Then damage to burning enemies in blue, additive percent 3 times, and then willpower to help with the requirement of cinders. Then we have smoldering embers, which gives you damage reduction from burning enemies and intelligence, and then if you have enough dex, more damage reduction from burning enemies. So there's 2 dex nodes plus 7 blue to help nearby, and there's 3 times blue damage reduction from burning enemies percent nearby. And a glyph, obviously. Icefall Paragon board, which gives you this. Kill, if you get the legendary node, killing a frozen enemy grants you X% of your maximum life as barrier for 5 seconds. What you have here is cryomancy, which gives you flat cold damage and chill bonus. And then more flat cold damage, the same amount of flat cold damage more if you meet another intelligence requirement. Then 3 times flat cold damage nearby, additive cold damage nearby, and then 2 times chill bonus nearby. Then we have a rare node, Keeper of Winter, which gives you damage reduction from crowd controlled and cold resistance. There's 2 times more blue coat resistance. Oh, by the way, I forgot to say that if you meet a certain dex requirement, you get that damage reduction from crowd control doubled. Now here, damage reduction from crowd control 3 times as magic, and 2 times coat resistance, as I mentioned, as magic. Over here we have Power Rhyme, which gives you damage to chilled enemies, percent additive and percent additive non-physical damage. Then you also get a bonus if you meet enough willpower for damage to chilled enemies, which is getting pretty much double that one. And then you can triple it if you meet an intelligence requirement as well. Nearby you have non-physical damage flat blue twice, and damage to chilled enemies additive percent thrice in blue. Here we have Recuperate, potion healing bonus and healing over time. And if you have enough willpower, more potion healing bonus. If you have strength, more potion healing bonus. If you have enough intelligence, more potion healing bonus. And we have healing over time in blue twice, and potion healing bonus in blue 3 times nearby. Frigid gives you damage reduction from crowd controlled enemies, and it gives you 10% intelligence. And if you have enough dex, it's doubling the damage reduction from crowd controlled enemies. There's 3 times damage reduction from crowd controlled enemies blue nearby, and there's 2 dex to maybe help with the Frigid double bonus damage reduction. Over here we have Frost, which gives you additive % damage to chilled enemies, and it gives you intelligence. And if you have enough willpower, this percent additive damage to chilled enemies is doubled. Now there's willpower to help with that, 2 times plus 7 nearby, and then there's damage to chilled enemies blue additive % 3 times nearby, as well as obviously a glyph socket. Next up we have Ceaseless Conduit. And Ceaseless Conduit, as you can see, is Crackling Energy has a X% chance to not consume a charge when triggered. Crackling Energy's damage is increased by X% per 20 total intelligence you have. So this will definitely nudge you into stacking intelligence from Paragon boards, from items, and so on. Let's go through the bonuses. Self-used resilience, which gives you damage over time reduction and resistance to all elements. And if you meet intelligence and willpower requirements, more damage over time reduction. And if you meet willpower, the same amount, more damage over time reduction. And if you have slightly less intelligence than the other requirement, you get more damage over time reduction. Then nearby you get resistance to all elements twice in blue, and you have damage over time reduction in blue 3 times. Then we have Conduit, where Crackling Energy damage bonus is added to you, and then you have Lightning damage bonus added. And then if you have enough dex, this Crackling damage bonus is doubled. There you have Crackling damage bonus 3 times in blue and 2 times Lightning damage bonus in blue nearby. Recuperate gives you potion healing bonus and healing over time. Now, if you meet the willpower requirement, the healing bonus, potion healing bonus is increased. If you have enough strength, it's increased even further. And if you have intelligence, it's increased even further. Then you have healing over time twice nearby in blue, and potion healing bonus nearby thrice in blue. Over here we have Hunter Killer, very nice name, which gives you added % damage to elites, and it gives you added X% movement speed for 0.15 seconds after killing an elite. And then it gives you movement speed elite kill duration. Which again, I'm not sure what that is, but probably the duration of this 0.15 seconds is getting increased by that one. Now, if you have enough dex, you get extra damage to elites, and if you have even more dex, you get even more extra damage to elites. So you can get triple the bonus from above if you have enough dex. Then healing over time, 1 time, 2 times in blue. And then nearby potion healing bonus magic. Oh wait, I'm looking at the wrong thing. You have damage to elites 1 time, 2 times nearby added in blue is %, and then actually 3 times. And then you have movement speed bonus, again distinct from here, where this 0.15 seconds again probably gets better from this one and this one, most likely the duration. I think the way this works is you get X movement speed for X seconds, or 0.x seconds after killing an elite, and killing more elites increases stacks that duration probably, and maybe this increases the duration if you pick those nodes. It's not really clear. Over here we're moving on to Galvanic Catalyst, which gives you Crackling Energy damage bonus, and it gives you intelligence. And if you have enough dex, even more crackling energy damage bonus. And there's 3 times more crackling energy damage bonus in blue nearby, and there's the dex nearby to help with this bonus. Over here we have Electro, which we had in another node with electricity, so it's repeating here. You probably can stack both of them, no problem. This gives you lightning resistance and it gives you intelligence, and if you have enough willpower, it gives you even more lightning resistance. There's 3 times lightning resistance nearby, and there's 2 plus 7 willpower over there to help with requirements. And a glyph as usual. Last but not least in any way is the Enchantment Master Paragon board, which I'm assuming probably everyone would have in their builds, regardless of build. Your enchantments are X% stronger. This by itself means, yeah, sure, enchantments are good, I love them. You probably would want to have this regardless of the build, as I mentioned. Obviously there's a glyph as each board has one, but let's go from the top and check those notes. Elemental balance, again, I've seen that already in another board, but it gives you non-physical damage and it gives you intelligence. And if you have enough dex, it gives you more non-physical damage. Nearby you have 3 times blue non-physical damage, and there's 2 plus 7 dex nodes to help with the requirements. Nothing too fancy. Over here we have Erudite, we've already seen that multiple times. Resistance to all elements, plus 10 intelligence, and if you have enough willpower, more resistance to all elements. And to help with the requirements, 2 plus 7 willpower, and then we have 3 times more blue resistance to all elements. Over there we have Elementalist, again another thing we've already seen in another board. And it probably stacks with the other Elementalist node. Non-physical damage and maximum life. Both percent and both seem to be added. And if you have enough intelligence, more of that non-physical damage bonus. It's kind of doubled. Now there's 2 maximum life blue and 3 non-physical damage blue nearby. Over there we have Ruinous, which gives you non-physical damage added percent and damage to elites added percent. If you have enough willpower, the non-physical damage bonus is doubled. Nearby there is damage to elites twice, added percent blue and added percent non-physical damage blue 3 times. Now there is something called Suffused Resilience, which we've already seen multiple times. Damage taken over time reduction and resistance to all elements. And if you have enough intelligence and willpower, damage taken over time reduction. If you have the same amount of willpower, even more damage taken over time reduction. And if you have slightly less intelligence than the other requirement, damage taken over time reduction. Now there is 2 times resistance to all elements in blue nearby and 3 times damage taken over time reduction blue nearby. And over there we have Recuperate, another thing we've already seen. Potion healing bonus and healing over time. And if you have enough willpower, double the potion healing bonus. If you have enough strength, triple. And if you have enough intelligence, quadruple that potion healing bonus, it seems. Now nearby we have healing over time, I'm assuming twice, yeah, and we have 3 times potion healing bonus in blue. To get notified when I upload more content like this one or other builds and guides for Wooter and not so Wooter games, you can subscribe to my channel and hit that bell button to not miss out on notifications. As well as keep in mind there's something called memberships on YouTube, which lets you be a paying member for my channel to get access to perks such as emotes and badges made by me, as well as the option to get one-on-one tutoring for the very basics of Adobe Photoshop, Premiere and After Effects. And memberships can be cancelled at any time if you no longer want to be a member. Thanks for watching all the way until the end, Struck Web. Keep it cool until next time and goodbye.